Oj, och då kör vi nu. Ja men hej och välkomna allesammans till Stora Aktiedagen med Aktiespararna. Den 27 november har vi idag. Det är Arla morgonstund på måndagen och vi har en massa spännande bolag framför oss att se fram emot. Jag heter Gunnar Vrede och är den som ska moderera den här förmiddagen. Nu på scenen har vi bolaget Pila Pharma och dess vd och grundare Dorte Gram. Välkommen.
Tack så mycket.
This presentation will be in English, right?
Yeah, we discussed that to reach broader public than Swedish.
Yes, I think so.
But I guess all Swedes can understand my English. I hope.
You're welcome, Dorte.
Thank you very much. So thanks for having me on this early morning. I think it's my earliest presentation ever, 8 o'clock in the morning, CET. But nevertheless, I also see a lot of people have come to listen to mine and maybe other presentations today. But I'm here to tell you about Pila Pharma and our pill treatment for diabetes, and also with a focus now on obesity. Obesity treatment is evolving rapidly. Some of the bigger pharma companies in the world, Novo Nordisk and Eli Lilly in the US, have succeeded to develop compounds that can effectively not only regulate diabetes or glucose in diabetes, but also has an effect on body weight regulation. And this means, according to me and also a lot of analysts around the globe, that this whole space of treating chronic metabolic diseases will change into treatment of overweight. Maybe you have also read that some known persons are also trying to access these compounds to just keep a slim and normal body weight if they are, for instance, in the film industry or so. It's important to have a beauty outside that can make them competitive. But the development of these drugs have been to treat overweight because it's well known that overweight leads to a number of serious diseases, including cardiovascular disease, that will eventually make you die 10 years prematurely. And before that, probably have a life that is not so full of quality that you would like. So I'm personally very intrigued by this development. When I worked for Novo Nordisk more than 20 years back and made the first patent around this concept of blocking the chili receptor, TRPV1, it was to do a treatment of obesity and obesity-related diseases and disorders. Back then, in 2005, when I filed the patent, obesity was not an indication, meaning that it was not acknowledged as a disease, and therefore it would not be financially viable to do a big development program for a treatment if you couldn't get it registered as a drug and get reimbursement from healthcare authorities. This has changed. About 10 years ago, the first countries started to acknowledging obesity as a separate disease. And this has, of course, paved the way for the big pharma companies to take their products forward as specific obesity treatments. And those two companies I mentioned before, Eli Lilly from the US and Novo Nordisk from Denmark, have had a very positive share price development over the last half year, so to speak, about 35%. And this shows that this is the beginning of a very significant trend. So we, I hope, will offer a pill treatment for obesity, an obesity pill, and it will be easier to take, of course, than an injection, and should also come, or could potentially come, at a price where more people can afford it. It is projected that half of the world's population will have an overweight issue, or at least be overweight, within the next 5 to 7 years. So it's a massive market that is opening, and a problem for the world, obviously. Pila Pharma, I know that some of you have been here before, and I've talked to some of you, but Pila Pharma is a Swedish company. I founded the company in 2014 in Malmö, where I live. But the idea stems back from the early zeros. So around in 99, I started as a PhD student at Novo Nordisk. And in my very first experiment, I saw that you could, if you treated diabetic-prone rats with capsaicin, the active ingredient in chili, you could actually prevent diabetes. And these were overweight diabetic rats. And that led to a series of experiments that eventually in 2005 led to that I submitted a use patent application, again, as I said, to treat obesity and all the related diseases and disorders. This patent, I was able to, or it was an application then, I was able to buy it out from Novo. In 2008, Novo Nordisk decided to abandon the small molecule area. That means drugs that are so small they can be put in a pill. They found that they had an advantage with the injectable products, and I think they were right. So overnight, they closed the whole area, including my project idea. So I was able to buy it out cheap. I like to buy cheap and sell more expensive. And I had these patents issued. First one in the US in 2011 to treat obesity. And then in 2013, we also had patents in the US and Europe to treat diabetes, both type 1 and type 2. The obesity patent is still valid, of course, but of course they are getting a few years on the back. In 2014, I started, as I said, the company in Sweden, and together with Almi Invest, who were the first investors, we started looking at clinical safe compounds, compounds that have been developed primarily for the treatment of pain. So the chili receptor is known to be a potent regulator of pain, or the sensation of pain, but also inflammation. But many of the compounds that have been in development in the early zeros, they had failed because of primarily safety issues. So some of the patients had very high temperature, and of course you do not want to treat a person for something and then induce something else. So those projects were abandoned, and some were also abandoned because the whole area kind of collapsed, this interest in these molecules for treatment of pain. But then I came with my brand new idea, or not so brand new, but at least the idea of treating another big disease, namely diabetes at that time point. And I talked to the health authorities in Denmark, and they said you absolutely need to go for a really, really safe compound, because people with diabetes have enough suffering to carry on. You shouldn't do something else. And of course, I want to make people fresh again, move them back to where they were before diseases started appearing there in life. So we brought in a molecule in 2016. It's developed by Bayer, and it had been developed further by a British biotech. Bayer developed it for urological diseases, meaning if you have incontinence, if you cannot regulate when you have to go to the toilet. That was the focus from Bayer, but they stopped that whole area, a little bit a strategic decision like Novo Nordisk, and sold it to a British biotech that continued both in that area, had good safety in women, elderly women, but no effect. Then they repositioned, did 2 studies in chronic cough, still very good safety, but no effect. So we bought that molecule. Very good safety, but no effect. Maybe it was just placebo. But I was betting on looking at the in vitro data, and also they had done a very nice study where people had taken the tablet, and you could see a very potent inhibition of, if you inhale chili, you will start coughing, and you could very potently inhibit that. So I betted on that this molecule would be good. And indeed, we took it into 2 clinical trials in diabetes, showed good safety. We didn't go as far up as we probably could have because of lack of money. We didn't expect it to be that safe in diabetics. And that's what we're going to do now, next step. We did a small 1-month study in placebo versus just a single dose, and we found it was safe in diabetics. We also had a small but significant effect on the people's ability to secrete their own insulin. You know, in diabetes you need insulin, and that's what GLP-1 does. Also this compound from Novo Nordisk that we talked about before that has a very good effect on body weight. So we needed something that could stimulate insulin, regulate blood glucose, and we saw that not very dramatically, but it was significant. And we also, last year, later on, we measured some samples from the freezer, and we have a very highly significant effect on a biomarker from the heart, ANP. It's secreted from the heart if you have much overload, and that biomarker was very much decreased during the treatment period, suggesting that we might have a direct effect on cardiovascular disease also. So that's where we are a little bit, and I think I maybe took a little bit of this. Here are our small pills, and you can see we also had an effect here on the graph. You can see the data from the effect on the long-term blood glucose, HbA1c, after 1 month's treatment. It's not significantly decreased, but there's a clear trend. And we need to do a study for 3 months to see that this is really coming about in diabetes. But as I said before here in the intro, we believe that this whole area of treating chronic diseases within the metabolic space, also diabetes, may shift towards actually treating overweight. So let's see. So we have 2 projects, and if you read our press release from last night, we actually also have a small third one coming up. But this is the plan that I more or less presented when we listed 2 years ago. As I said, before 2021, we had done these 2 clinical trials, and we are now ready to go into the phase 2, late stage phase 2b space, and we will do a dose-finding study first for 2 reasons. One is to risk reduce, so that we can effectively choose the right doses that should go into chronic studies. The other part is, of course, we can do with less money for that. And in this market where it's difficult, or not difficult, but where money costs a lot, we have decided that to spare the shareholders for a lot of dilution, we will do effective and meaningful steps forward for less money. We also have a small project within the pain space. It's an orphan project that I will not talk so much about, but given the possibility to fund it, we will take the next step and hopefully demonstrate an effect on pain. Both of these projects should be able to go, or we are looking for partners for that, and we believe with this move in the obesity space, it might actually be possible already after the next small phase 2A trial, where we will go up in dose and follow the patients for 3 months. If there's a trend for body weight reduction, I believe we have a good position to find a partner for the next very expensive stages of development. Just a little bit of last night I sent out a press release on that we have entered a collaboration with a professor in Uppsala, and we will start looking at a cardiovascular indication first in mice, but that means we might have extra nice data. He will sponsor that, we will sponsor the drug, and we will in Pila get the IP rights if some interesting results comes out. I can say that I had that disease close in my family, as my father had surgery for that, so I'm very intrigued to find a treatment for this disease where you can only get surgery and get a stent unless you want to bleed to death when this dilatation of aorta is full. A little bit on the rise on obesity. I have said that in the introduction. We see in the obesity space a lot of deals are done, and they are high numbers, around $1 to $2 billion. And even in Sweden, or you have maybe seen that AstraZeneca also bought a compound from China to be part of this obesity race. If you have something that works, there's a massive market ahead, and we bet on being part of that with the future obesity pill. We have an ongoing new shares issue. Some of you are shareholders already, so you've probably seen it. Otherwise, I really invite you to join our journey, not only for the diabetes project, but to be part of this massive development of new treatment of obesity. We will, of course, you can look in our memorandum. We are looking for 26.2 million Swedish kronor, and we have, of course, a priority list with the highest. I mean, we have some basic costs, obviously, being listed and so, but then it's I'm actually doing that capital raise on my own to save money for the current shareholders. We had calculated that it would have cost us 4 million kronor more if we should have had a corporate finance house and guarantors to help us. But I hope that the story is so appealing that you would want to join us. And you can look at more at our homepage, and I think I'll stop here.
Thank you very much, Dorte. I was listening to you and I made some notes, and my reflection now regarding your molecule Xen D0501 is that I count to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different kinds of indications.
Yes, that's true.
Urological disease, chronic cough, pain, inflammation, diabetes type 2, obesitas, and now cardiovascular diseases. So I wonder, is this molecule just misunderstood? Or is it simply no good for anything?
I'm happy that you, of all, posed me that question, Gunnar. Because you, as some of you know, we have worked together, so Gunnar knows the story a little bit more from the inside than maybe the rest of the audience. But absolutely, we have, maybe it's misunderstood. We have, of course, been starting our communication around the diabetes target. That was our prime target before. But those of us, or you, who have maybe heard me tell or read my patent application from 2005 on the use of any kind of these compounds that can block the chili receptor, they would see that I have described that not only can you, if you can regulate body weight, the beneficial effect will not only be on how good you look, it will be on that obesity leads to a number of things. So my personal belief is that if you become overweight, I mean, your body is designed to survive in a hostile environment where food is scarce, right? Now we have food everywhere. So it's so easy to put on weight, and the body will do anything it can to defend the body weight and not actually have any mechanisms to really lose body weight. That means, and I think that then with your overweight, you will become inflamed. Inflammation can lead to disorders in the whole body, in all organs. CNS, gastrointestinal tract, skin, lungs, kidneys, heart, and so on. So I think somebody's asked me, is this too good to be true? And I think, no. It's actually just something people haven't looked at before. And we do see that the compounds that are now very successful in treating obesity do come out with more and more positive effects. Because it is about reducing obesity, and the associated inflammation will lead to all of these comorbidities becoming better. We'll see in the future. We don't have that data yet, but we do see some effect on cardiovascular disease.
All right. And then I wonder, since you have several indications now for the same molecule, and you showed us a timetable there, it should be a different timetable for each indication, right?
Yes, of course, and we are also actually working on another way to show that, a real kind of the traditional way to show the pipeline.
So the pipeline, the timetable you showed us, that's the diabetes type 2 pipeline, right?
Actually, it's both and, because the pain project, if we have a proof of concept here after the first study that we will hopefully finance with these new funds, we can get to market much faster. That, of course, obviously needs a lot more investment, but it's an investment that can also be reused for the diabetes. If we do not have both projects or all 3 projects in Pila Pharma, but sell out, obviously there might be a need to prioritize one of them. But there is a possibility, since this target is involved in so many different diseases, you may be able to develop different products for each. So you could develop a cream for pain, or you could develop eye drops or nose sprays and so on. For this, the pain project, if that goes on in parallel to the diabetes obesity project, it would get to market before and might be able to earn money before the diabetes is there. If then the diabetes obesity project gets to market, you will have to reconsider if you should then lower the price to be able to get out to all and then skip this orphan drug protection of the molecule. So I think it can be done together, but obviously we hope that we can show data on obesity here in the next year, and then be attractive for a big pharma partner, and then it will be up to them how to position the drug.
Yes, I know that you all along have talked about that this molecule can have effect on both obesity and diabetes. It was known as a possibility since a long time, and now you stress obesity more than diabetes, and I wonder, is that simply opportunism, or have you seen something new in the molecule?
It's both and. I think I'm not less enthusiastic about treating people with diabetes with this molecule. I think it will have an effect on that. Also because of the obesity effect in people that are overweight with diabetes. The reason why we are talking a lot more about obesity is to tell all of you that something is happening in the market, and it's been happening since April, June, thereabouts. It's kind of an explosion. And I think we will have a molecule that could find a place in this. So it's an additional market. And it's not uncommon. I mean, these two products that are now very successful have first been registered as diabetes drugs, then later as obesity drugs. So it's nothing new that you might be able to, do something good in both indications. So, but of course, there is a need for new and a very big appetite with big pharmas to look for new projects to fill this enormous demand and market.
I also got some viewers' questions here, and great. One is Novo Nordisk and Eli Lilly a threat to your development? And I read the question as, since they have these huge products out, how can you compete?
I think that is a very good question. No doubt these two companies have enormous financial muscles. So I see us more maybe as future partners than competitors. But for sure their products are nowhere near a small tablet that could be cost effective. So if they don't join with us and we have effect, then we will have to join forces with another big pharma that has those capabilities of selling tablets globally. So, but we talk to them both, and we hope that...
All right. And will the orphan drug designation assist you in raising further capital and accelerate the studies? So how important is it for you to have this orphan drug designation, which in Swedish is särläkemedelsstatus?
Well, it's the second priority right now. I want to be very clear with that. If we do not raise all the funds we're looking for now, we will prioritize the obesity diabetes project. The orphan project is relatively cheap to do, like I've budgeted for 4 million Swedish, so it's not nothing if you don't have the money, but it's not a lot in the big picture. That could lead to another partnership. First of all, positive effects would give us also a European orphan drug designation. We know, they have told us, if we can demonstrate effect, then we'll get it. It can also lead to a partnership, as I said. But also it can differentiate our obesity diabetes project in that I don't think there are any other drugs out there in that space that also has an effect on pain. And then, of course, it would make our molecule very unique in the group of those drugs that block the chili receptor in being both safe and efficacious on pain. Few have made that journey. So let's see. It's, of course, very binary.
Okay. And now you have 30 seconds to answer the last question, which is, as a layman, which valuation model is applicable on Pila Pharma's research value? That's a hard question to answer. I realize that, but if I formulate the question like this, what kind of investment is Pila Pharma?
I think you should look upon Pila Pharma as a potential platform company with the potential to use this molecule, and we also have some backup molecules that we could implement into more diseases. But primarily, right now, it's about developing this obesity/diabetes treatment for the future market, especially in obesity, I think.
And the market is big if you get there.
The market is, as I said before, for diabetes, it's about $50 billion, and for obesity, it's estimated now to be $100 billion, which is massive, and I think that's really underestimated. So it's half of the world's population that would need treatment to prevent the chronic diseases that are terrible to live with and really costly for society. So there is a will to invest in products that can keep people healthy and have a long life.
Dorte, our time is up, and I wish you very good luck with your ongoing rights mission.
Thank you.
Thank you.